Okay. Hello. Welcome to another installment of OCA Reads. I'm Macy Banasap, and I am the Policy Director at OCA Asian Pacific American Advocates Greater Phoenix Chapter. OCA Asian Pacific American Advocates is a national organization dedicated to advancing the social, political, and economic well-being of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Today, we observe World Refugee Day. This is deeply personal to me as I am a product of two refugee immigrants who escaped Laos following the Vietnam War. Laos is a landlocked country located in Southeast Asia that borders Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Arizona is about 1.5 times larger than Laos. The US bombing of Laos from 1964 to 1973 was a part of a covert attempt by the CIA to wrest power from the communist Pathet Lao, a group allied with the North Vietnam and Soviet Union during the Vietnam War. American bombers dropped more than 2 million tons of bombs over the country, and as a result, Laos is the most heavily bombed nation in world history, with bombs still detonating to this day, almost 50 years after the end of the Vietnam War. The way that my parents came here from Laos is typical of many other Lao refugee immigrants. They would pay soldiers who would take them through the dense forests of Laos, careful not to make a squeak, and they would walk from dusk till dawn. My mom, who is the oldest of 5 daughters, fled to Thailand with her pregnant mother, her father, and 2 other sisters. She did have to leave behind one of her sisters because the sister was a newborn and they could not take the risk of taking her to Thailand with them. After they went through the forest, their final task was to cross the Mekong River. Many Laotian people had died trying to cross the Mekong River due to drowning or being shot and killed by communist soldiers. After they safely arrived in the Thailand refugee camp, the youngest sister was born, and the family of 6 found their way to Stockton, California 1.5 years later. They were only able to reconnect with their sister back in Laos 2 years ago through a mutual friend and with the help of Facebook as well. My dad also had a similar experience. He ended up resettling in Pennsylvania, and he found his way to Stockton where he when he met my mom and then eventually resettled here in Arizona. Today, we shine light on the rights, needs, and dreams of refugees so that they can not only survive in our nation, but also thrive. We celebrate the growth, strength, and courage of people who have been forced to flee their home country to escape conflict or persecution and start anew in a foreign land. Like sugar and milk, their presence in our country will sweeten all of our lives. A very special thank you to Phoenix Mayor Gallego for joining us today and for reading Sugar and Milk by Thrity Omrigar. Sugar and Milk is a timeless picture book illustrated by Vietnamese artist Qua Lee about immigration that demonstrates the power of diversity, acceptance, and tolerance, and the benefits that both sides get when cultures intermingle with one another. Welcome, Mayor Gallego.
Thank you, Macy. Thank you for putting on this important recognition of World Refugee Day. As Mayor of Phoenix, I am very lucky that we have refugees from all over the world to sweeten our community, and proud that Arizona is one of the largest locations for resettlement. It makes us a stronger, sweeter, and more diverse community. I am looking forward to sharing Sugar and Milk with you. When I first came to this country, I felt so alone. I knew Auntie and Uncle were happy to have me. They filled my room with books and toys and painted it purple, my favorite color. But my friends and my family were all back home. I missed my mom and dad. I missed my cats, Kulfi and Baklava, too. After Auntie and Uncle left for work, I sat alone in my room, thinking of my old friends and longing to make new ones. Uncle and Auntie were worried, but didn't know how to help me. Then one day, Auntie came into my room. "Let's go for a walk," she said with a smile. As we walked, Auntie told me a story. There once lived a group of people in the ancient land of Persia who were forced to leave their home and seek refuge elsewhere. "Come, my people," said their leader. "Now that we have to leave the home we love so much, we must find a new land that we can call our own." So they built a few boats and sailed the mighty sea until they arrived at the shores of India and begged to be given shelter. The king went to the seashore where the ragged travelers stood and ordered them to leave. But they couldn't understand him because he spoke a strange and different language they did not understand. The king sighed impatiently. He snapped his fingers and ordered his servant to bring him an empty glass. He filled the glass with milk all the way to the very top and silently pointed to it. It was his way of saying, "My apologies to you. I would have loved to help. You look like very fine people, even though you speak a strange and different language I do not understand. But just as this glass is filled to the brim with no room for more, so are we full up in my little crowded kingdom." The travelers had come from afar, and they were tired and hungry and cold, and very sad to be turned away. Just then their leader spoke. He was a small and clever man, with an ever-present smile on his lips. "Just a minute, O mighty king," he said. "A moment, sir, of your time." And before the king could speak, the leader dug into his old tattered sack and pulled out a spoonful of sugar. He stirred the sugar into the glass slowly, carefully, dissolving every grain of sugar and making sure he didn't spill a single drop of milk. He smiled as he pointed silently to the king's glass. Between two wise people, sometimes words are not necessary. The king understood what the leader meant. "If you let us stay, O mighty king, we will live in peace beside all of you. And just like sugar and milk, we will sweeten your lives with our presence." The king stared at the sweetened milk. His lips twitched. First he smiled, and then he grinned. And finally he roared with laughter. The king hugged the group of travelers. "Welcome to your new home," he cried. "May you live with us forever in peace and joy." And even though the strangers didn't follow a word the king said because he spoke a strange and different language they did not understand, everybody knows what a hug means. All the people speak the language of laughter, so no one had a problem understanding what the other meant. Thus, the Persians stayed. India became their new home, and they kept their ancient promise of spreading happiness wherever they went. After Auntie finished telling me this old story, we walked quietly for a few moments. I looked around me, stopped, and then I took another step into the dazzling light of America. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. I began to smile at the people we passed, and they returned my smile. Everybody I said hello to said hello back to me. Even the dogs seemed friendlier and wagged their tails faster. I laughed out loud and wondered why I had ever been so sad or lonely in such a wonderful place. And the next day, when I left the house, I asked Auntie for a pack of sugar. I kept it in my pocket to remind me to make things sweeter wherever I wandered in my new and magical homeland.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was Sugar and Milk.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor Gallego, for celebrating World Refugee Day with all of us. Lastly, we would also like to wish everyone a happy Father's Day. Tune in on our Facebook and Instagram for our next installment of OCA Reads. Thank you so much.
Thank you.